The proclamation of the Holy Gospel according to Mark. On leaving the synagogue, Jesus entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Simon's mother-in-law lay sick with a fever. They immediately told him about her. He approached, grasped her hand, and helped her up. Then the fever left her, and she waited on them. When it was evening, after sunset, they brought to him all who were ill or possessed by demons. The whole town was gathered at the door. He cured many who were sick with various diseases, and he drove out many demons, not permitting them to speak because they knew him. Rising very early before dawn, he left and went off to a deserted place where he prayed. Simon and those who were with him pursued him, and on finding him said, "Everyone is looking for you." He told them, "Let us go on to the nearby villages, that I may preach there also. For this purpose have I come." So he went into their synagogues, preaching and driving out demons throughout the whole of Galilee. The Gospel of the Lord.
Our gospel passage for this Sunday comes from the first chapter of St. Mark. We have been reflecting on compassion, and Jesus' compassion more specifically. This is a good way of prolonging our reflection on the theme of Pope Francis's visit to the Philippines, mercy and compassion. The first reading alerts us to the human condition. Job, a suffering person, who described his life as that of slavery, without meaning, a life of restlessness. You wake up without experiencing hope, and you wonder whether there will be some relief or consolation. Job is a symbol of many people in different places of the world and different generations who had been subjected to unutterable suffering. Are we touched by the suffering of other people? Do we see the suffering of the children, of women, of the unemployed? Are our eyes open? Are our ears open? Do our hearts see the cries and the physical condition of our people? Do we see Job around us? How do we respond? In the second reading, St. Paul, the missionary, gives us a good example. Motivated only by mission and the desire to bring people closer to Jesus, he entered their human condition. He became all things to all people, to the weak, the simple, those in sorrow. And there's only one motivation, so that he could share the word of God to them. Yes, food, drink, clothing, shelter, all are important. But let us not forget, the word of God is also important. As a sign of compassion to others, especially those who are in deep confusion and suffering, please let us not forget to share the Word of God, the Word that gives life and hope, the way St. Paul did. In the Gospel, we find an ordinary day in the life of Jesus, and it is a day of compassion. It is a day of mission. Mission and compassion come together in Jesus. We can even say that his mission is that of compassion. But this is not an idea. He shows compassion to concrete people in their concrete situations. The gospel passage begins with Jesus' entry into the house of Simon and his brother Andrew. And they told him right away that the mother-in-law of Simon Peter was sick with a fever, and Jesus went to her directly, prayed over her, and the fever left her. Look at that. It was almost spontaneous for Jesus to respond. He hears of a situation, he goes right away. And then the fever leaves the mother-in-law of Simon. She gets up and waits on them right away, serves them with food, and welcomes them with the usual hospitality. Look, the person recovers energy, recovers her role in life, and look at how she became other-centered, serving other people. What a complete healing, thanks to the compassion of Jesus. Then, many other people, afflicted with illnesses and possessed by demons, were brought to Jesus. No, that's not easy. It's not easy to be surrounded by people of different types of sicknesses and people screaming because they were possessed by the evil one. But Jesus spent time healing them, expelling the demons. This was part of his compassion, tirelessly acting to deliver these suffering people from what oppresses them, especially the evil one. What a beautiful way, forgetting his own comfort, forgetting his own health, forgetting his own boundaries, if you want, or privacy, in order to reach out to those who are in most need of healing, of liberation, and of purification. Then, an important aspect of the compassion of Jesus. At the end of the day, as the sun started setting, Jesus turns to God in prayer. Prayer is an important aspect of compassion. Compassion is not just to be reduced to actions, no matter how good they are, to benefit other people. For Jesus, the inner source of compassion, the inner source of the power to help other people and to heal them and to liberate them is his relationship with God. So he wakes up and prays. And then when he was told that there are many other people waiting for him, he says, I have to go to other places too, for that is what I was sent to do. So, he goes out. He doesn't wait for the sick to be brought to him. He goes to other places. And like St. Paul learned from Jesus. What did he do in other places? He preached the good word. He preached the word of God. The preaching of the word of God is accompanied by healing and exorcising the demons. This is a complete image of Jesus, the compassionate one. Prayer, sharing of the word of God, going out to those in need, and with the power of his communion with the Father and the power of the word of God, he brings healing, liberation, and comfort to the poor and the suffering. Look at this. Jesus, attentive to the many Jobs of his time, realizing, however, in humility, that he needs the power from on high. He needs the power, the powerful love and compassion of the Father. So he communes with the Father. So it is not a reliance on his own strength that makes him compassionate, but it is the love of the Father. And then the Word of God Wow, what a combination. I hope we will all be compassionate like Jesus. But like Jesus, let us take the path of compassion. Prayer, reliance on the Word of God, sharing the Word of God, going out to those who are suffering, and bring a message and action of healing, liberation, and purification. I'm sure we have not gone over the many beautiful images of compassion on the part of Pope Francis when he came to us. Who would not be touched by that going to Tacloban, even with the news about the typhoon Amang? The Holy Father decided
esos días, decidí hacer el viaje aquí.
And on those very days, I decided to come here.
we have to go. We have to go, even if the time originally set for the visit would be abbreviated, we still have to go. And all the activities in Tacloban were fulfilled, even in shortened periods. He had to go. And what a manifestation of compassion. Going out like Jesus to be with the suffering people. Sharing a word about Jesus, how Jesus is our King, and how Jesus will never leave us. And I was a witness. The Holy Father being touched by the stories of the 30 survivors of the earthquakes in Bohol and the typhoon Yolanda. He was speechless. But it was not words anymore that mattered. He allowed them to touch his heart. He allowed them to teach him to be compassionate. He allowed them and their stories to evoke from his heart the compassion of Jesus. And he even told us, this typhoon was really for me. I have not experienced a typhoon. Now I know what people go through. This is compassion. This is compassion. Very interior, emanating from one's relationship with God. Bearing what you have. Sometimes you don't have gold, you don't have silver, but you have Jesus, His Word, and your heart. Let us continue reflecting on this concrete manifestation of the compassion of Jesus in the visit of Pope Francis. The Word has been exposed. Let us now fulfill it.